I moved to my new home in July, which is pretty close to where my parents live. When I used to live with them, my dad walking around at night would always wake me up. He's a very light sleeper, and I seem to have inherited that from him. So, I was really hoping for some peace and quiet in my new house. The house is quite simple. There's a basement where I keep my laundry stuff, the main floor where I do all my living, and upstairs, there are 3 bedrooms and a bathroom. I turned one of those rooms into my office, and another one into a small gym. At first, my dad helped me set things up, but after about a week, it started feeling really cozy and like my own place. One Sunday night, I couldn't sleep. I tried medicine, but it didn't help much. Then, I heard someone walking. At first, I thought it was my dad taking his usual walk at midnight. But it didn't seem like him. I called out, thinking it was my dad, but nobody replied. I got out of bed, still half asleep, and turned on the lights. That's when I saw someone I didn't know standing at the bottom of the stairs. He was tall and wearing a mask. I got really scared, shouted at him to go away, and surprisingly, he left. I hurried to lock the door, but I heard another door close loudly. Someone else was in the house. I got really scared and called Dad. He was awake as always and told me to call the police. While I waited for the police, the person on the phone asked me a lot of questions. When the police got there, they wanted to know what got stolen, what the robbers looked like, and where they went. But I was so nervous that I couldn't describe them well. They didn't take a lot, probably because I didn't have anything special. The burglars came in through the kitchen window quietly. The police looked for clues by checking for fingerprints and taking pictures. They searched the house and asked if I saw anything gone or weird. I wanted to help more, but I was feeling really confused. After the police left, I felt really scared. I couldn't stop thinking about those people wearing masks who came into my place. To feel safer, I made some changes. I put more lights around and made sure all the doors were locked really well. Now, I always keep a knife close to me when I'm in bed, just in case. Even though it was scary, I'm starting to feel more comfortable in my new home. I like spending time in the living room, making it cozy. I got some paintings to hang on the walls and put a nice, soft rug in one corner. I'm enjoying the kitchen a lot, learning to cook, and I even baked some cookies the other day. I really like my cozy bedrooms upstairs. I turned one room into a cool office where I do work and play games. Another room is my exercise space, even though I'm not super into working out. I just like having some weights and a soft mat for yoga. The neighborhood seems fine, but I'm more careful these days. My neighbors are nice and always say hi when they see me outside. But when it gets dark, I feel a little scared. I really hope the police catch the people who broke into my house. It's really scary to think someone got in. But for now, I'm doing things to feel safer at home. Before I continue to the next story, if you are interested in earning from YouTube without showing your face or without making videos by yourself using artificial intelligence, like the video that you are watching right now, then I have a special free training for you. Check the first link in the description below to get instant access. When I turned 28, my dad helped me buy my first house. He's always had a lot of money, but he never spoiled me. I asked him for help, and he lent me some money. The people who lived in the house before me were an old couple. The husband passed away a while ago, and the wife died just before I bought the house. Their son, who sold me the house, left a lot of furniture behind, which was helpful. It saved me from buying a bunch of stuff. But some of it was too old-fashioned for me. There was this creepy old rocking chair in the living room that I got rid of right away. It just didn't match the style I wanted for my new home. On the second day, I worked hard cleaning upstairs. There were lots of heavy things to move, and I needed breaks because I hadn't slept well the night before. I often have trouble sleeping, and that night was one of those times. Afterwards, I went to get Chinese food for dinner because I was too tired to cook. When I returned, I saw that the front door was unlocked. I wasn't sure if I had forgotten to lock it or not. I hoped I had just forgotten, but it felt strange because it's a new house for me. I switched on all the lights in my house because I wanted to feel safer, especially when I had to go upstairs. We have a basement, but it's more like a place for keeping stuff, with the washer and dryer. I'd only been there once before. Once I made sure everything was okay and felt a bit calmer, I sat down to eat. But I didn't close the basement door properly, and I began hearing creaky sounds from down there. I tried turning on the light, but it didn't work this time. I took my flashlight and looked down the stairs. I saw a rocking chair moving, and there was an old lady sitting in it. She had curly gray hair, glasses, and wore a pink nightie. I got really scared, closed the door quickly, and called the police. The police arrived and searched everywhere, even the basement many times, but they didn't find anything. It was like the lady disappeared. They asked me lots of questions, but they couldn't figure it out. I called the son of the people who sold me the house and talked about a lady. He got emotional, saying I described his mom exactly. He hurried to my place, and we went downstairs together, but all he did was take the rocking chair and go. It was really frightening for me. After that, I always locked the basement door and avoided doing laundry there for many months. But after about 6 months without anything strange happening, it got easier. Even then, I only lived in that house for about 1.5 years. The house was nice. It felt really cozy, especially with a big backyard where I wanted to put a grill. The kitchen had these old-style cabinets that I later changed. There was a big space in the attic where I kept my stuff, and the living room was super comfy. I even put my gaming console there. Even though something spooky happened there, I still have good memories. I had friends come over for movie nights, and I enjoyed relaxing Sundays in the backyard. Eventually, I moved to a new place, but I'll always remember that weird and kind of scary night in my first house. I was living in a place, but the owners wanted to sell it, so they told me I had to move out in a month when the lease ended. I had a job where I worked all day, which made it tough to find a new place to live. For the first 2 weeks after finding out I needed to move, I spent a lot of time looking for a new house or apartment, but I couldn't find anything suitable. Then, suddenly, I realized I only had 2 weeks left before I had to leave the place I was staying in. This made me really stressed and worried because time was running out. I didn't have much time, so I applied to 3 different houses nearby without actually going to see them in person. 2 of them said they couldn't rent to me, but luckily, the third one accepted my application and agreed to let me move in. When I first saw pictures of the new house I was going to live in, they looked nice. But when I actually moved in, the walls were in bad condition, the house seemed really old-fashioned, and not how I expected. Later that night, at around 9 p.m., I woke up and checked my phone. The landlord had sent me a message, but it was too late to call back. When I went to the kitchen, I got scared. There was a man in the living room, just staring at me. I was really frightened, but I asked him why he was there. He didn't say anything and left without a word. I tried to call the landlord but couldn't reach them. The person I usually see around wasn't outside. I felt a bit puzzled but not too scared. So, I sat on the sofa and began putting my things into bags. After some time, there was a knock on the door. I got a bit careful because I thought it was the landlord, but the person looked a lot like the one I saw earlier. I felt worried, so I tried to close the door, but they wouldn't let me. Something inside me said things weren't right. I quickly closed and locked the door, then called the police. While I was waiting for the police, I heard strange sounds near the back door of my house. I looked and saw the same person holding a hammer. I quickly ran to my car and drove away. I saw him watching me leave. When the police came, the person was gone. The police checked everything carefully. They looked for fingerprints, checked if anyone broke in, and searched for clues. They also kept watch around the area for a few days, but they didn't find any solid evidence. It made me really worried, wondering who that person was and if they might come back. The new house was in worse shape than I expected. The paint on the walls was coming off, and the whole place looked really old and not taken care of. The kitchen cabinets made noise when you opened them, and the bathroom tiles were broken. Even though the rent was low, it didn't make the house's bad condition any better. The neighbors seemed fine, but I didn't talk to them much. I mostly stayed on my own, especially after a strange and uncomfortable experience. I met the actual owner of the house eventually, and he looked a lot like the weird guy I'd seen before. It got me thinking if they were somehow related or if it was just a strange coincidence. I couldn't stop feeling like something wasn't okay. When my rental agreement ended, I left and didn't want to think about that place again. The whole experience made me uncomfortable, and I was happy to move away from there. I didn't know if it was a strange neighbor or someone else causing that feeling, but I never found any answers. All I knew for sure was that I didn't want to stay in that unsettling house a second longer.